So back again. Last video sucked. I said it sucked in the video. And to my subscribers and everyone who watched, I'm sincerely sorry about that. I was really fucking confused about what happened with UFC 151 and why the entire card had to be scrapped because one fighter got injured and the other fighter didn't want to accept his opponent who he would only have a week to train for. Less, because, I mean, most of that week would be PR. Maybe not most of it, but a couple of days of it would be PR. So, I mean, you only have, like, maybe 5 days total to train for Chael Sonnen, who basically is Dan Henderson he trains with Dan Henderson and calls him a mentor. Jon Jones didn't have that advantage, and I mean, I hate to play devil's advocate here. I am a Jones fan, but I mean, what he's doing is he's following the advice of the people that got him to where he is. It wasn't him that said, "I don't want to take the fight." Well, actually, I can't be sure of that, so don't quote me on it. But it was Greg Jackson that told him, "If you take this fight, it will be the biggest mistake of your career." So, I mean, put that on Greg Jackson. I mean, he puts his loyalty and trust into his team and who got him to where he is today. He took their advice, and he's really getting nailed to the cross for it. Speaking of getting nailed to the cross, he did tweet, "Carrying the cross for my company's decision," and he's getting scrutinized for this. This is nothing. It's 2012. In a few months, it'll be 2013. I'll tell you what happened. Back in the 60s, John Lennon said, I mean, it was kind of a joke. He said, "We're bigger than Jesus right now. I don't know which will go first, rock and roll or Christianity." But he went on to say more. But not much more. I mean, that was the quote that really caught people's attention. What happened is they took a bunch of Beatles records, they put them in the middle of the road, and they took a steamroller and crushed their albums. Really, what it did was increase album sales because they had to buy the albums in order to destroy them. So really, it just put their more money in their pockets, and it was, in the last couple of years, it's almost a joke, like, oh yeah, back in the '60s when you said stuff like that, that's what happened. Well, Jon Jones says carrying the cross for my company's decision, and it was the company's decision to pull the card, the entire card. I wasn't sure of why they pulled the entire card until I heard who was on the undercard, and especially who was on the co-main event, and that's Jay Haran, making his UFC return, I think for the second time. I'd love to see him in Diaz Settle Beef, by the way. But anyway, yeah, I would love to see that. I just can't blame it on Jon Jones. I can't do it. I put it on Twitter, and I've got some agreeable responses, and I've got some like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's all his fucking fault responses. So let me know what you think in the comment section. I mean, here's what takes me by surprise is the Henderson fight. If you catch Dana White's vlog before UFC on Fox 4, he says the winner of the co-main event and the main event, who wins most impressively, will get Johnny Bones Jones next. He didn't say who gets they get the winner of Bones versus Henderson next. He automatically assumed, I think pretty much without thinking, that Bones is going to beat Hendo. So did I. He started out as a 7-1 underdog and ended up as a 6-1 underdog. I like this fight more. They thought it was going to be Machida. He got a pass. I mean, he really wasn't prepared. They even went so far as to make a promo, posters, all that. Machida couldn't do it. Machida pulls out. They finally find Vitor Belfort. I've loved Vitor Belfort since 1997. So let's take a look at this here. Dan Henderson, Greco-Roman, Olympic alternate, great wrestling. Never had a submission. He's had a submission by strikes once. But he's got that H-bomb. Jon Jones admitted to being afraid of it. But I mean, he just, it seems like he called him a one-trick pony. I mean, he knocked out Fedor. I still think that was bullshit. But no, I mean, he still has a TKO win over Fedor Emelianenko, so that's definitely a feather in anybody's cap, beating Fedor Emelianenko. It doesn't matter if it's disputed or hated or no one agrees with it or not. On your record, on your resume, it says you beat Fedor, you're a legend, you're great. Henderson was a legend before you beat Fedor, but let's move on. Jon Jones is fighting Vitor Belfort on the 22nd at UFC 152, and all of the other fighters on the undercard and the prelims have been placed in other events, so the fighters will be paid. That was my biggest concern. Why burn every other fighter on that card? But anyway, Jones and Belfort, to me, stylistically match up so much better. I can actually see Vitor pulling this out. I'm a fan of both. They're both Bible bangers. They both they're both respectable. Jon Jones, I think he's epic. I think he's going to be the future of the sport. I think he can really, really make a mark. Even to say he loses this fight, he's going to gain the title back again. He's just too goddamn talented. And then you have Vitor Belfort. Look at just that 97 hand speed that was knocking people out. And then he came back and put a hole in Marvin Eastman's head that Joe Rogan says today is still the nastiest injury he's ever seen inside the octagon. To me, it's a split between Miguel Torres and Joseph Benavidez and Dwayne Ludwig and Dan Hardy. I think those two are pretty much worse. But what's shocking to me is Belfort opens as Jones opens as a 9-1 favorite over Vitor Belfort to win the title, to retain the title. A 9-1. I haven't seen a 9-1 in a long time. I think the last time I saw odds like this, it was Cyborg versus Jan Cuddles Finney, and her record was 6-6, and I think Cyborg has only one defeat with over 20 professional wins by knockout and submission. So I haven't seen odds like this in a very long time. It's negative 900 for Jones, and Belfort is plus 550, which makes him a 9-1 favorite. I agree. I think Jones is going to take the fight, but Vitor can take the fight to him. He fought back in the day where there's no weight classes, no gloves. It's just, who is the better fighter? And all these years, he's definitely put together a well-rounded game. Jon Jones is just on another level. Who knows? He gets better with every fight. Who knows what we're going to see on the 22nd? I just love to see Jon Jones. He's an artist in there, so I love to see him fight. And just add a note, Frank Mir is going to fight Daniel Cormier in Strikeforce. I'm pretty sure everyone's heard this. But what came as a shock to me is he's an underdog. And not only that, he's almost a 3-1 underdog against Daniel Cormier. I never thought I'd see a two-time heavyweight champ of the UFC move to Strikeforce and take on a Strikeforce heavyweight and come out as an underdog. I just never thought I'd see the day. It just shows that MMA is definitely still in its infancy. And it's crazy, man. I just can't wait to see what goes down on the 22nd. I've been watching a lot of old school MMA. I just rewatched the title Jon Jones title win against Shogun, and it was a fantastic fight. He only had so long to prepare for that fight, and look what the damage he done against Shogun. One of the best in the world. So we'll see what happens. It all goes down the 22nd. It's going to be Jones Belfort. Jones 9-1 favorite. 9-1 to win this fight. So but I like Vitor much better than I like Hendo. Let me know what you think. I'm back. Sorry about the last couple of video guys. I love you all. I do. So thank you. Like and definitely let me know what you think about the fight, about the changes, and definitely about the odds. 9-1. That's like basically saying Belfort has a 10% chance of winning. Let me know what you think.